Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to a series of videos in which I am reading you a book. We are reading the Gospel according to St. Matthew, and we are up to chapter 20, which I'm going to try to read straight through, and then we'll talk about it at the end. I haven't tried that yet. We'll see if that will work. This is in the King James translation, by the way, to account for the antique language. And this is Jesus speaking. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will pay you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and said unto them, Why stand ye here all day idle? They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that ye shall receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came, they that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the goodman of the house, saying, These that have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them, and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst thou not agree with me for 1 penny? Take that as thine, and go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as I did unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is thine eye evil, because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. For many be called, but few chosen. And Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and took the 12 disciples apart in the way, and said unto them, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death. And they shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock, and to scourge, and to crucify him. And the third day he shall rise again. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshipping him, and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, What wilt thou? She saith unto him, Grant that these my 2 sons may sit, the one on thy right hand, and the one on thy left, in the kingdom. But Jesus answered, and said, Know ye not, you know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say unto him, We are able. And he saith unto them, Ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father. And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the 2 brethren. But Jesus called them unto him, and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and that they are great, that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life as a ransom for many. And as they departed from Jericho, a great multitude followed him. And behold, the 2 blind men sitting by the wayside, when they heard that Jesus passed by, cried out, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And the multitude rebuked them, because they should hold their peace. But they cried the more, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And Jesus stood still, and called them, and said, What will ye that I shall do unto you? They say unto him, Lord, that our eyes may be opened. So Jesus had compassion on them, and touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. And that is chapter 20, comparatively short, and we have 2 little sticking points here. One, we can see a couple of these plot lines are now gathering strength and momentum. Jesus is constantly followed by crowds. He is constantly working miracles, and he is intentionally approaching the culmination of his human drama. He is headed to Jerusalem, where he already knows the fate that's waiting for him. Again, I want to add a little parenthetical that if this story made sense in its own internal continuity, that story would not be waiting for him. But certainly I have heard Christian exegetes say, no, Jesus came to offer the way, not to impose it. and that people are going to resist anyway, no matter what, no matter how many miracles they see. Which is okay as far as it goes until you start factoring in the fact that we've been told in Mark and now Matthew that one of the reasons people will resist is because they're being manipulated by satanic forces. That doesn't seem fair. But the main thing I want to concentrate on is the main bulk of this chapter, which is the parable of the Lord of the Vineyard, where the motto at the end, a man owns a vineyard and he hires workmen for, the King James Bible says a penny a day. It's a day's wages, an average day's wages. So in the Roman world, a denarius. In modern day America, for the average American, $30 to $40. An average day's wages is what this vineyard, the Lord of the Vineyard, offers to these workers at the dawn of the day, at the very beginning of the day. Go into the vineyard, and at the end of your workday, you will get your day's wages. Then 3 hours later, he sees other men who are idle, needs more workers in the vineyard, and tells them, go in and you will be paid what is fair. Hours after that, he finds more men. And hours after that, yet more men. Hours after that, in other words, towards the end of the workday, he finds men, sends them into the vineyard, and says, go and you will receive your wages. And at the end of the day, he has his shop foreman call all these workers together to pay them out. Each one getting a penny. Each one getting a day's wages, a denarius. Every one of them getting that. And some of the laborers who've been there sweating in the hot sun all day complain. They say, this doesn't seem fair. The people who've been here for an hour are getting the same amount of money that we are, who've been here all day. And the Lord of the Vineyard, who I think is clearly here supposed to be God, says to them, well, isn't it my money to do with what I want? I promised you a penny for your day. I'm not cheating you. I promised you a penny and I gave it to you. What is it to you? What I promised, what I pay other people? Okay, all right. And if we start to interpret this, as of course the parables insist on being interpreted, they don't just sit flat, like the example that we had last chapter, which was Jesus actually talking to someone. This is a parable, it's a story, so it's inherently open to interpretation. Again, I want to stress, not only has Jesus told us now in Mark and in Matthew that he speaks in parables to people in order to confuse them. He's been very clear about that he wants them to be misunderstood. But even if he didn't intend that, they're still stories, so they're open to interpretations of all kinds. Why you would spread your message that way instead of simply saying what it is, I do not know. The method of operation here by this character called Jesus, who wants to spread the gospel, seems at odds with his stated goal. I'm pretty sure that we are to interpret that the Lord of the Vineyard is God. And that the homiletic, the interpretation on this thing would be, don't be envious of your brethren in faith. Don't be envious of them. Don't hold over them or begrudge them because your own work has been longer in the vineyard. Okay. As an interpretation, fine. But Jesus strongly hints to his disciples in the last gospel and in this one that the reason he's talking in parables to ordinary people is in order to show them stories in worlds they understand, to bring everything down to human terms. And in human terms, the parable of the vineyard is a portrait of injustice. True, the workers who were conscripted at the beginning of the day and who worked all day for a penny were never promised anything more than that. But when those workers point out to the Lord of the Vineyard that he is being unfair by paying people who are only there for an hour the same as he paid people who were there for 10 hours, those workers are correct. In the normal human world that is not transfigured by parable or that is turned on its head by faith invectives of any kind, in the normal human world, those workers would be right to complain. In the normal human world, this parable would be an illustration of the caprice of power. The Lord of the Vineyard can do anything he wants. He says, this isn't my money, I can do anything I want with it. I don't have to be fair. I can do anything I want with it. It's true that I made a promise with you and I got 10 times as much work out of you as I did out of this other person. And it's true that if I pay you both the same amount, I am being unfair. But that's what we agreed on, and that's all there is to it. I've heard your complaints and I've ignored them. That's what this parable is in the real world. In the real world, if that Lord of the Vineyard ever went out again in the same location and said, I need workers at 9 in the morning, no one would answer him. No one would take him up on it at all. They would all wait until 5. He's going to need workers anyway. He's going to let you off at the end of the day anyway. You can't work a vineyard at night. So why work 10 hours when you can work 1? In the real world, that's what would happen. It's a recurrent theme. It's going to get stronger as we go along, especially when we get to the Gospel according to St. John. It's, I think, meant to be arrestingly counterintuitive, but I think it fails. I think the parable of the Lord of the Vineyard fails in the same way that the parable of the sower does. In the parable of the sower is at fault. If you throw soil onto rocky or thorny ground, you are a bad sower. It's not the ground's fault. It's your fault. Same thing with this. I don't think there's a common sense way to read this parable that does not fault the Lord of the Vineyard. but the only other really interesting thing here is that the sons of Zebedee, their mother comes to Jesus asking them, will they be highly favored in the afterlife, in the kingdom? And he says, not only is that quintessentially a Jewish mother thing to do, keep in mind in Mark, it's not their mother that asked that. But also, this is another instance, just like in the last chapter, where Jesus is very pointedly drawing people up in order to instruct them that he is not God. In the last time that we heard that this was encountered, he outright says it. He says, why are you calling me good? There's no one good but the Father. And I'm not him. He doesn't say that. He doesn't add that last part, but it's obvious. The comment doesn't make sense otherwise. And here, he says, well, I can share with you my burden, but as to your place at my Father's table, that's for him to decide. Which is just another thing for Christians to ponder, especially when it comes to the doctrine of the Trinity, because this is not that. This is unambiguous. In contradiction of that. So, but the only other element that I want to mention is the one I started with, which is that slowly, by little bits and pieces, this chapter is increasing the drama with every footstep that brings us closer to Jerusalem. We're coming closer and closer to the drama, the passion that will end this gospel. So we'll just keep going, and we'll move on next time to the next chapter, and I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.